for the action.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sharp Dress Gaming, and today we're back with some more PGL. This is week 6 of the PGL and we are up against the Boston Silk Scarfs and their coach True. Now his link will be in the description below if you want to go check him out, and I encourage you to. He's got some really good content and you get to see his side of the battle and see why he did what he did. But we're going to be going in here. I brought all 3 of my new Pokemon, Tyranitar, Blastoise, and Hoopa. And I also brought Mega Garchomp, Breloom, and Electivire. You can see his team has Magnetric. Now that could be Mega Magnetric or normal Magnetric. He has both Pokemon on his draft sheet. We'd also see Mew, Shaman Sky, Suicune, Donphan, and Conkeldurr. Now to lead off here, I believe I lead Breloom. Do I lead Breloom? Excuse me. No, I lead Tyranitar, so I can try and set up rocks. So we'll see how that turns out for us as we hit this play button. Alright, so I do lead out Gorgira, like I said, to get that sand up and the stealth rocks up, but he must have predicted that, and he leads off with Conkeldurr. So, unfortunate for us. Now I have to figure out who can come in on a stupid Drain Punch. I just go for Stealth Rocks because I do have Chople Berry, so I'll be able to live at least one Drain Punch so I can get these things up and do a little bit of damage to everybody. He goes straight up for the knockoff, expecting a switch of some sort, but alas, I did not. So now he sees that I have Chople Berry, and he probably assumes that I switch out here, especially now he can just pretty safely go for Drain Punch. The only thing that I'd want to take is Hoopa, and that might be what he was expecting to come in, since Drain Punch is immune. Hoopa is immune, sorry, to Drain Punch. So he goes for it here. And Breloom I knew wasn't going to like it very much, but it's really the only thing I could justify taking that hit, because I kind of needed everything else for this match. Maybe Blastoise, but I didn't want to be sitting there then looking down a Scald from this Conkeldurr to accidentally burn it for guts. So I went for Mach Punch, expecting him to Mach Punch me back, but he actually went for Knockoff, expecting the switch, probably expecting me to expect him to Mach Punch, which I didn't even think of. So it's a good thing I didn't think of it, because I would have brought in Hoopa and would have died. Now I brought my Hoopa in. I can outspeed and kill this thing. I do a Psyshock, especially for Assault Vest Conkeldurr, but he straight up switches that out into Suicune. So I go for the Psyshock. He takes stones damage, and we're going to see the Psyshock does a nice amount of damage to Suicune, so I'm thinking he might not be completely defensive invested, and I know another Psyshock can take this thing out, and I invested Hoopa to outspeed a normal speed Suicune, like a neutral speed Suicune, so he does just straight up switch out into Donphan. I believe I taunted here, so he couldn't rest or call mind or roar or anything like that, in case he lived the Psyshock. So, unfortunately, it's just taunting a Donphan, which would really only still up Stealth Rocks from this thing. And I have nothing to do to it in return. It probably carries knockoff, so I'm going to switch out my Hoopa. Save him for later, and I'm going to bring in Venus, which is our Blastoise. Really the only thing I can come in on this Donphan, even though it's our especially defensive wall. And he goes straight for an Earthquake, which makes me think he's a little more, or that he doesn't have knockoff, because he probably would have straight up went for it. There's really no reason not to. So he switches out his Donphan into Mavis, which is his Mew. And I think I just went straight for Scald. Yeah, I went for Scald here. Not worrying if I burned the Conch coming in, because it had enough damage on it that it wouldn't be around long enough to really take use of Guts. So from that damage, I'm not entirely sure what kind of Mew this is, because I am on Invested Blastoise, so it's kind of hard to tell. So I'm going to actually switch out my Blastoise into Tyranitar, expecting maybe a Psychic to come out from Mew, or maybe a Stealth Rocks or Defog or something like that. But he goes for an Nasty Plot, and I'm like, oh god. He's probably got like Aura Sphere or something dumb for my Tyranitar. But I really can't switch anything into it, so I guess Tyranitar, we're going to see what you can do. Now, I was kind of hoping he had Dazzling Gleam, because I was pretty sure Dazzling Gleam couldn't take me out from here, which he does end up having Dazzling Gleam, so perfect. We have Sand Up, we have some Special Defense investment, we're good to go. And I'm going to go for the Crunch to return the favor of damage to this Mew. and it's going to bring it down to where Sandstorm's going to be able to take it out. So there goes Tyranitar getting his first kill and getting this Mew out of here before it can cause too many problems. We've dealt with nasty Baton Pass Mews before, and I don't like it. So he's going to bring the Conkeldurr. Here, I just stay in with Tyranitar, get the Earthquake off. I'm not super concerned about keeping him around much longer. And this way we're able to let him go down and bring Garchomp in to take advantage of the sand while it's still around. So he's going to go down. Conkeldurr, of course, sticking around because of Drain Punch. Now I can bring it to Rock. We can get the Mega Evolution off and get the Sand Force. So I'm going to Mega Evolve and go for Iron Head. It was our best play. I was assuming he wasn't going to switch in a Magnetric to a Garchomp because I could have been going for Earthquake. But if he would have switched in like Shaman, would have been the problem. So that's why I went for Iron Head. He does get a crit Mach Punch, which kind of sucks, but it's not a huge deal. Whatever. So we get the Iron Head, and Turok's going to pick up himself a kill this match against the Conkeldurr. Now in comes the Magnetric. This is where the crit may or may not have mattered. I'm not going to stay in, but I do have a lot of special defense investment, enough where I can live a Hidden Power Ice from a Mega Magnetric. It does like 60 to 80%, so had he not crit us, we may have been able to survive a Hidden Power Ice, and I may have just been ballsy enough to stay in an Earthquake and get rid of this thing right away. I mean, it did have Intimidate, so it probably wouldn't have been the best idea. So I did switch in. Actually, I think even after Intimidate, Mega Garchomp, Sand Force, Earthquake still KOs. So, kind of sucks, but I'm not going to dwell on that. So we get the Hidden Power Ice hit onto Electivire, and the Sandstorm's going to go away this turn. Did I say super effective? I didn't mean to if I did. Just the Hidden Power Ice hit, I think is all I said. But he brings in the Donphan. I actually try and go for Volt Switch here, expecting him not to bring in Donphan, expecting him to expect me to expect that. So, he does bring it in. Too much expecting people to expect things. So I'm just going to straight up switch out since I'm Choice Scarf Electivire into the Blastoise again. Back again on this Donphan. He's finally able to Rapid Spin, which kind of sucks because a lot of my calcs dealt with Shaman Sky getting hit by Stealth Rocks. Like Garchomp's Rock Slide without Sand needs the Stealth Rock damage, and a lot of things just need that Stealth Rock damage. So he's actually going to bring in the Suicune here on my Donphan. And I go for the Scald here. There's no Conkeldurr around to worry about burning. So we can just go for Scalds pretty freely. And his Suicune's not going to get burned this turn. I switch out Donphan into Hoopa, expecting, oh, we can just outspeed and kill this thing the following turn. Whatever. He's carrying Shadow Ball. Like, hello? So he predicted that pretty good. Otherwise, he just didn't have a move for Blastoise. He went for Shadow Ball. And then it turns out he outspeeds. So he speed invested his Suicune when I tried to speed creep him. So good on you for bringing a different Suicune there, true. So now I'm going to bring in Electivire, and I kind of have to figure out what I'm going to do, because he's obviously not going to leave it in to let me Wild Charge it or Volt Switch it. So he brings in his answer, the Donphan. I could have Ice Punched here. I was thinking about it, but I went for Earthquake just in case like Magnetric came in. I'm not sure why it would have. I should have just went for Ice Punch, to be honest. But it's fine. It's not like Ice Punch would have done too much more because Donphan's pretty bulky. I mean, it would have got it to like... It would have done probably 40% at most, I think, is what the calc ended up being. So I'm going to bring a Blastoise again. It's just Blastoise on this Donphan all the time. He's going to go for Toxic, which is kind of annoying because that puts me on a timer and my Blastoise won't be able to wall things for as long. In this turn, I'm going to go for Ice Beam because I'm like, eventually he's going to bring in that Shaman, expecting me to Scald, and then he can Seed Flare my Blastoise. So I'm going to Ice Beam this turn, because it's still super effective to Donphan. Suicune's still resistant, still neutral to Magnetric, so it's just losing the stab, which isn't a huge deal. So Suicune's going to come out. We see that pressure going through, and I go for the Ice Beam here. So it's still going to be resistant, obviously. Not going to do a whole ton to the Suicune, but we do get the freeze. So now I'm thinking, he's got to have Scald. I sure hope he has Scald so he can get out of this freeze, because I'm going to Mirror Coat him this turn, expecting that to happen. Excuse me, God. I'm telling you, every time I come to record, I start coughing. It's terrible. I've been sitting here doing homework for hours, and as soon as I put the headset on to start recording, I start coughing. I don't know what it is. But I get that mirror coat off because he does have Scald, and now I can just, I think I can just Ice Beam this following turn. So he's going to go for Shadow Ball, so that does show that the Hoopa play earlier is probably just him not having anything for Blastoise. So I go for the Ice Beam again in case Shaman comes in for any dumb reason. And then Suicune is going to faint to Blastoise's hand. So Blastoise is going to be able to survive another turn from Toxic, which allows the Shaman to finally come in here. And it goes for the Earth Power. Now, going for Earth Power is a little strange to me. I was thinking he's probably Choice Scarfed if he's just going straight for Earth Power. Maybe Choice Specs, but I'm assuming Choice Scarf at this point. So I'm going to bring in my Garchomp, expecting him to be stuck into that. And I should be able to live it, so I'm going to go... I think I go for Dragon Tail here. Which ends up being fine because the Donphan comes in. I don't know that Earthquake would have done too much more. I probably should have just went for Earthquake, though. Expecting him to switch out. But I Dragon Tail him out into the Magnetric, which still isn't good because he can attempt now. Because I've taken damage. It was the critical hit still, Mach Punch. That's the only thing that's hit me, right? Yeah. So if he hadn't crit me with Mach Punch, I probably would have had a chance to live that again. We're not dwelling on it, even though I keep bringing it up. So that's gonna knock me out. I thought about switching to Electivire, but he could have overheated, expecting that. So I just let Garchomp see if he could take the hit. Of course, he couldn't. I went for Ice Punch here because obviously he's not going to leave in Magnetric. He knows I have Earthquake and he knows I'm choiced and all this good stuff. So Ice Punch does a decent amount of damage. Had I Ice Punched that first time instead of Earthquaking, we probably would be looking better against this Donphan. So the only really two plays that I see were a problem here for us. Because obviously Electivire is going to go down this Donphan. Had we Ice Punched instead of Earthquake that first time, and had we Earthquaked instead of Dragon Tail with that Garchomp, that Donphan would have been gone and we would have had a better chance. I'm not saying we would have won, but we would have had a better chance. Also, the crit on the Mach Punch, something you can't control. Whatever. I'm just adding that to things that could have helped us win. But GG to you, True. Good on you for winning that one. So True takes the top of the league. I didn't tell you guys, or not top of the league, top of the division. I didn't tell you guys before this match started. Whoever won this match was going to end up being at the top of the division. So yeah, unfortunately we're third in our little division area. I think we're Eclipse division. So hopefully we can pull that back. We still have 4 more weeks, which it's impossible to pull it back from there, but it's going to be a long road, guys. We're going to try it out. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and next week will be week 7. Do I have who's up? I do not, but be sure to come back for week 7 to see who we're facing and see how we do. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Stay sharp, everyone, and go Wild Charge.